What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to Bitassist, where, as the name suggests, we're here to assist you in understanding Bitcoin and, of course, altcoins. In today's episode, we're going to cover 0x, a decentralized exchange protocol allowing people to exchange various digital assets. We're excited to cover this today because it's our first community vote coin. We started our vote on Monday, where we gave you the opportunity to vote for 4 different coins, and 0x was the winner. So we decided to obviously go ahead and cover that for you today. Also, we originally picked it to cover it because it's performed fairly well in comparison to other coins in the industry over the last 3 or 4 months and the dip since January. As you'll see here, 0x is down 50%, which obviously sounds like a lot. But if we just consider that compared to the rest of the industry, you'll see, big coins like NEM, Qtum, Cardano are all, majorly affected by this dip since January. So hence the reason why we put it in the vote, and you guys voted to hear from us today on 0x. So we're excited to bring you that. I say us because I'm very excited actually today to have a guest with us for the first time, a debut of our managing director, and that is Jamie Bennett. So Jamie, say hello.
Hi guys, really excited to be here. I'm a big fan of the YouTube videos that Max has been putting on for the last month or so, and yeah, excited to get stuck into 0x.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me, Jamie. Really cool to have you here with me today. We should actually probably do this more often. But quickly, before we do go and kick on, I just want to say a massive shout out to everybody that's been liking, subscribing, and of course commenting on the Bitassist content. We haven't been around very long trying out this YouTube channel, so you have really helped for us to garner a little bit of interest. And please do continue. Go ahead, give this video a like if you've enjoyed mine and James's little collaboration today. And of course, if you want to hear more from us, make sure to subscribe. I'm also going to put a link down in the description for our newsletter. It comes out once a week. We basically give you a very good understanding of what's happened in the market over the last week. And we also do give you some little inside tips on which coins we believe could have a good few days and weeks and months ahead for it. So you will not be let down. Make sure you go down and subscribe to our newsletter. Lovely. So what we're going to do is we're going to first go through, as we usually do, the website and the reasons for choosing 0x. But as we always usually do, let's go look at some of the price action that's happened over the last day or two. So let's just refresh that. So right now, 0x down roughly 5%. With the rest of the market, we're in a red day. But pretty healthy volume today, around 17 odd million. They are one of the more used dApps in the industry at the moment that are based on Ethereum, with a market cap of around 660 million, so very healthy, and that gives it a rank of 30th in the market right now. If you want to take a look at its recent history in terms of trading, you'll see it looks pretty darn healthy with a big run up. Obviously the whole market's been receding downward, but it's been performing pretty darn well compared to the rest of the market, as we've mentioned. As we'll see here, hit its bottom in around March, and since March has done pretty good. So that's nice to see. If we look at the markets where you can go and buy this, of course the highest liquidity of it is, as it usually is, on Binance. You can get it off OKX as well, and of course Bittrex, along with a few other crypto exchanges. Also Ethfinex, which is actually using using 0x, I believe. So that's pretty cool. As we said here, has performed pretty well, and it is right now the 4th most used dApp or Ethereum based token on the market. CryptoKitties in the lead, with Omisa Go just behind it, payment processor. Really love Omisa Go, with Golem, and then of course 0x. So it's good to see it's actually being used here. So let's jump into the website then, what it's all about, and then we're going to look over this article here, which kind of deep dives into 0x. So as it suggests here, powering decentralized exchange, 0x is an open, permissionless protocol allowing for ERC20 tokens to be traded on the Ethereum blockchain. So this is going to look to be able to trade any digital asset based on Ethereum. It doesn't mean just currency, it can be a whole lot of other things, maybe like, property or, any digital, anything that you are able to make into a digital asset. So the first thing you'll see here is the projects that are using 0x and the protocol. Some that you might recognize, as we just spoken about, is Ethfinex, Maker. I know James is a big fan of Maker. He actually wrote a good blog post on that, James, so maybe we can shill that later. Augur, of course, a lot of you are familiar with that. Aragon, District OX. And you might know today we've just heard news that Coinbase has just acquired Paradex. So that's obviously very, very good for them. So let's go on to basically what are they looking to do. The Ethereum blockchain, of course, is an open borderless financial system that represents a wide variety of assets and cryptographic tokens, right? We all know that. In the future, though, most digital assets and goods will be tokenized. So like I said, it's not just going to be digital money. It may be digital goods and, of course, as it suggests here, traditional digital assets. Okay, so moving on down here, I'll let James cover this part here. He's quite into how the back end works. He's more of like, the technical sort of guy. So I'll let you explain pretty much what a relay is, James.
Okay, great. Thanks, Max. So the first thing to compare a relay to is the Lightning Network. It allows people to do off-chain transactions. That means that we run less gas because we're not running on the main network. And it also allows things to happen more quickly because they don't need to go on into the queuing system that would happen on the main network. So essentially you can think of it as having off-chain channels, and the relayers are the guardians of those channels. As a reward for being a guardian of those channels, the relayers receive a payment in 0x tokens. Now, we're talking about all different types of ERC20 tokens here. So that means that relayers will work with different ERC20 tokens, and in some cases they may need extra liquidity in order to help the buyer or the seller in order to fulfill their orders. What's great about this protocol is that relayers are able to connect with other relayers and leverage the liquidity pools of those other relayers. It's really a decentralized and collaborative protocol that allows decentralized exchange in a very transparent way.
Yeah, so it's quite a complicated system, to be fair, but like you said, you put it, it's a decentralized sort of peer-to-peer or B2C sort of, or like I said, peer-to-peer transaction model, but it's a protocol, so these relays can plug it into their businesses without having to invest in infrastructure. So it says here off-chain order relay and on-chain settlement. So in the 0x protocol, orders are transported off-chain, massively reducing gas costs and eliminating blockchain bloat. Relayers help broadcast orders and collect a fee each time they facilitate a trade. So anyone can be a relayer. So
right, and to that point, I mean, it does really represent what this industry is, which is that anyone can build an app on top of the 0x protocol. So essentially, they are allowing different decentralized applications to be run on this 0x protocol, and some of them you can see there, as Max already ran through.
Yeah, so these are the ones here that are most well known, and you can see the full list here if you want to go check that out. But like I said, one or two that you'll recognize are maybe Paradex, Ethfinex, and as James has said, they are giving this open source protocol to anybody that's willing to or wanting to use it without having to invest in massive amounts of money in building or a blockchain team. So it continues to just go on a little bit more about what are the benefits of 0x. So firstly, as it's a decentralized exchange, it's trustless. So built on Ethereum's distributed network with no centralized point of failure and no downtime, each trade is settled automatically and without counterparty risk, which of course is what crypto is all about. Shared liquidity. So by sharing a standard API, relayers can easily aggregate liquidity pools, creating network effects around liquidity that compound as more relays come online. So I've always said to my clients and people that I speak to is that if you're going to invest in a project, think about the network effect of it, because the network effect is what's going to give a utility token value. So it shows, just looking here, that 0x does have a hell of a lot of utility compared to most, as it's one in the top 5, and it's being used for what it's been made for. It's not just a speculative token. which is being traded on some dodgy exchange. And then we continue to be open source. 0x is an open source, permissionless, and free to use. Trade directly with a known counterparty for free, or pay a relayer some ZRX tokens to access the liquidity pool. So, you know, pretty straightforward. It's free and open source, and that's the way, you know, it should be, and the way that I like it. And of course, you know, to get more network effects, you want to have as many sustainable dApps on your network, and that's exactly what 0x allows you to do, is to build dApps on its protocol. So it says here, 0x protocol is a pluggable building block for dApps that requires exchange functionality. Join the many developers that are already using 0x in their web applications and smart contracts. So, you know, they're obviously looking for more and more people to join, and why not? You know, it's obviously working. And, you know, it's something that a developer really could take advantage of. So right. I'll let James continue here in terms of what it can be used for, this 0x protocol.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's really an open platform to allow the decentralized exchange of any assets, a digital representative of these assets. So we've got decentralized governance models, we've got decentralized prediction markets like Ogre, we've got stable tokens with decentralized stability mechanisms like the MakerDAO, decentralized loaning platforms, we've got decentralized betting platforms, and we've got decentralized fund management, which again was representative of the DAO that we had in, was it 2014, 2015, when essentially it allows for financing to be done in a decentralized way, which means that the community end up voting on how finance is allocated.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, really, a DAO is the way of the future, I believe. So, you know, decentralized governance is something that's not being utilized incredibly highly right now. People don't really see, the average layman doesn't really understand it and doesn't think it's needed right now. But I do see in the future you can have all these different DAOs and different decentralized governing bodies that
yeah, and I think
can help.
You know, what we're seeing here is that this token has a real utility for the network. It gives the benefits of decentralized interactions between different users. And, you know, the token is not a speculative token. It's one that powers all of these different methods of exchange in a decentralized way. So, you know, really have taken a lot of interest in 0x. So I'm glad you guys have voted to see this one. Yeah.
So we've also taken a look through this median post. I'm not going to go and read every word for word here, but I just want this gentleman, German SPTR. Sorry if I mispronounce it, mate, but great article, by the way, and we're just going to quickly go over it. So quick quote says, anything that can be assigned a value in the world is going to eventually be tokenized and moved into an open financial network like the Ethereum blockchain. So I know we've kind of got through what 0x is, but let's just do it for the layman here. So 0x is an open protocol for decentralized exchange on Ethereum blockchain. In this use case, it is a message format for two parties to exchange tokens. This is in 0x's protocol. So instead of having a third party like a centralized exchange to handle transactions between two parties, they now would be able to exchange directly to one another, so peer-to-peer. And, you know, there's a hell of a lot of utility in that, and it's the way of the future. Well, I do believe, and I'm sure James can agree, right?
Yeah, 100%.
100%. So why decentralized exchanges? There's a lot of them popping up every now and again. Of course, there's lots of utility in a decentralized exchange, especially for some countries that are unable to, you know, trade on centralized exchanges because of KYC and AML, you know, restrictions. It says here, centralized exchanges have been fraught with security breaches. Most recently, BitGrail and CoinCheck losing a combined $670 million. So there was a study done by Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Tulsa. They found that 80 exchanges tracked between 2010 and 2015, 25 of them had suffered security breaches, with nearly half, 38, having since closed. So it's pretty obvious that they're targets. You know, obviously they would be. As you can imagine, I'm sure Binance tries to get hacked every single day. The more money there is in an exchange, the more money the hacker's willing to spend to try hack it. And that's really just how it works. The same applies to a smart contract. You know, if you're only going to hold $1,000 in the smart contract, it doesn't need to be incredibly safe because the hacker's not really looking to hack that. But if there's a smart contract holding $300 million, you need to make sure you spend a hell of a lot of money in it to secure it, you know, properly. It continues to say the reason these hacks happen is because centralized exchanges serve as wallets for these users. When trading, users have to deposit their valuable digital assets to the exchange. Knowing this, it makes all the more attractive for hackers to attempt to breach it. Decentralized exchanges remove these risks by allowing users to trade without a middleman and directly from wallet to wallet. So yeah, that is very, very, very important. When it goes on to liquidity, it is a little bit harder for decentralized exchanges to get liquidity. I know I'm quite familiar with Kyber Network. We've done a review on that, and they have like liquidity providers. The liquidity providers in the 0x sort of protocol are done by relayers, right?
Right. Different relayers can provide liquidity to other relayers, but whoever is the kind of initiating relayer is the one that will ultimately take the fee.
Okay.
But there is very much a drive towards having a collaborative effort on the platform, as well as having competition, which of course is good for innovation and improving the service.
Yeah. So it actually continues to say relayers can share liquidity across the network since they are used shared infrastructure, the 0x protocol, instead of proprietary infrastructure. They will also be incentivized to share liquidity, as you said. Of course, there's obviously the building blocks of this ecosystem. Ecosystem is everything. If you want to build a sustainable long-term business, you want a big community and ecosystem to drive that and create network effects. So it continues to say an open protocol serves as a building block for the entire ecosystem. That is, others can build on top of it and build more sophisticated dApps. It does go on to show a few of the dApps here. There is a list that you can find online. There's some really cool ones that I've been using. It does also say the projects above don't worry about building the infrastructure to be able to securely exchange because they use the 0x protocol. So as we've already said, is that this is sort of like a plug and play sort of scenario. So you don't necessarily need to go and invest in a massive blockchain sort of team to build you a blockchain. You can just use this protocol already built. When we move on to dApps, I'll let James quickly take over here. He's really keen on dApps.
Okay, so dApps obviously need other tokens to function. So for a Facebook dApp, you may have a file storage token, a computation token, or identity token. Ultimately, in order for this ecosystem, this dApp to work, users will need to be exchanging these tokens between one another. So users would pay with dApps, such as Ether if it was an Ethereum based dApp. The dApp uses a few lines of code to exchange Ether for the needed tokens in the background, and the dApp runs seamlessly without the end user knowing, which is obviously crucial to having mass adoption.
Yeah, so quickly, layman's description of how 0x works. At its core, 0x is a message format and a suite of smart contracts. So what's a message format? So the message format can be thought of as a package of data that signals what you want to trade, for what token, at what price, expiration time, and with whom you want to trade. So it's basically like we all know, is that when we do trade anything, it's kind of like it is kind of a message, isn't it? It's like I want something and you want something, so we relay something over a network. So the way they see it, it's the message. So the suite of smart contracts that 0x provides are broken up into two components. So the business logic that accepts the signed data packets to process and settle the trade. The second, the upgrade process to make sure the business logic is updated over time. It all comes together by having market makers input their trade parameters into the message format and signing it. Then anyone can take that order by sending it to the 0x smart contract that processes the trade to automatically swap their tokens. Yeah, so anyways, I think that's enough for from here. I just want to actually cover on this. James is telling me to move on. I do tend to get a little long on these reviews, but anyways. What does the native token do? Of course, you're all going to want to know that, aren't you? So let's cover it. 0x is the native token of OX. It is primarily a governance token, but is also used for relays to charge fees. Of course, they're not doing this for free. Governance is often overlooked in its importance, as we described earlier. ZRX is used as a governance token in order to make the protocol future-proof. Okay, And then relayers are incentivized to operate their business on 0x in order to charge fees on the resulting volume. These fees are denominated in ZRX tokens. Relayers get to keep 100% of the fees they charge, as 0x is a non-rent seeking. So there we go. So that's going to give them incentive to use this protocol, and secondly going to give the ZRX token utility. Okay, and then just to finish up, just looking forward, what's a few things that you can expect throughout the year. So fees generated by exchanges will continue to grow, hence the growing TAM for relayers. Regions where cryptocurrencies are banned will move to decentralized exchanges that are able to route around censorship. And of course, competition for relayers is going to heighten as 0x dramatically lowers the barriers to entry for building decentralized exchanges. So I think that's a high-level sort of overview for you guys on what 0x is. Thank you so much for voting for it. Here's the vote actually, and you'll see 0x won with 39% of the vote. We're going to start another vote again on Monday, so do make sure to vote if you'd like to take part of that and have your voice heard. Also, of course, make sure to follow us on Twitter. James actually takes charge of Twitter. He tweets every day, like 5 times a day, all the top stories and, some really interesting content. Again, if you've enjoyed this today, guys, make sure you do like the video because it really, really helps us to be found. And, of course, we have a great weekly newsletter. Going to leave a link in the description and in the comments. Go ahead and join that. We send that out once a week. Really don't want to miss out on that. Some really great information. And then lastly, of course, come and subscribe if you want to hear from a cryptocurrency brokerage. We do videos every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're going to do our very, very best to try to stick to that as well. Anything you want to say before we go, James?
No, guys, just keep on sticking up, following us with the Twitter, the YouTube, and the newsletter as well. We really appreciate your support, and we're trying to bring you the most fundamentally sound sort of look on the cryptocurrency markets.
Mm-hmm.
We cut through the noise and we bring you quality information.
Yeah.
So your feedback's always appreciated.
Yeah, guys, and if you like James's debut, give him a like. But if it was really bad, then give him a downvote so we can see what we think. So see if we should have him on again or not.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching, all of you that have tuned in. And I'm Maximilian, your crypto broker. I'll see you guys again on Tuesday.
Goodbye.